Hello, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the Mompreneur series. You know, the Mompreneur talks are so important, and today we're going to speak about motherhood penalties. What are motherhood penalties? So, if you're a mom and you're working, or you're a mom, you're in business, motherhood penalties is a situation where you're balancing motherhood and business. And today we're going to talk about balancing motherhood and business through having systems, support, and strength. So, good morning, powerful women and supportive gentlemen. So, today's session is really about the real life motherhood challenges that happen when we are running our businesses, or, just talking about the balance that you need to have. So, real life comes with pressures, and it comes with having to make real decisions, right? So motherhood penalties are not just something that happen, They're things that are real life. You can't avoid them. This is where you talk about having to respond to something that happens. So motherhood penalties are not written in any contract, but every mother in business pays them. The question is not whether challenges will come. The question is, will your systems carry you when life demands your presence elsewhere, right? So I'm sure you can think of an example of how you've had to choose between being a mom and running your business. So this is something which is very, very real, and it happened to me. This past week, I lived what we are discussing today. I was actively exhibiting at McKinney Mall under the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. Business was moving, we were getting inquiries, people were purchasing, opportunities were present, and then I received a call. So this call is not a call that any mother would want to ignore or could ignore. So the sister at the school, my children go to a Catholic school. So the sister at the school says, "Come and pick your son. There is something wrong with his sight." So I said, "Oh, okay." So in that moment, I could have, just crumbled, but I didn't, and got a yango. I actually, at that point, didn't even have money for a yango. So I had to find it and then go get a yango and go and picking up from school. And in that moment, a few things just shifted in my mind. I said, look, I'm someone who is always present for my kids, and so I have to go there. So I rushed, I moved, I responded, and went to pick him up from school. And they said, no, he can't. He's struggling to see. And this is something that's been present for some time, they said, but it's becoming progressively worse. So I said, okay, instead of waiting for tomorrow, let me deal with it now. So that's what I did. So we took him to the eye hospital, and he was found to have severe myopia. So he's very short-sighted, and this is something which I think might be hereditary. But yeah, I didn't expect that it would show up so early in his life. So we went there, and they diagnosed him, and they've given him a pair of glasses, actually. So he's there just adjusting to it, and he says, "Mommy, it's squeezing me on my head." So I said, yeah, that's how glasses are. So this is something that we are also now just trying to get the learning curve above that. So at the same time, my nanny, who has supported me in raising my 3 children, decides to leave. So this couldn't have happened at a worse time. That's why they say, maids, that's why they are maid, I guess, because they can't see that, okay, in this time, this is something this is a very sensitive time. So maybe let me wait. And she, I was very disappointed. So I just said, okay, what, I think let this be what it is. And she left. So so imagine this: you are a mom, you are a child, and your child needs you urgently, and the support system shifts unexpectedly at the worst time possible. So your mind just gets to thinking, okay, now how can I respond to this? And then your business is still running, clients are still waiting, opportunities are active, responsibilities are calling. So what did I do? I made a decision, right? And this comes from the mindset change program or process. And this is how I know that the mindset has shifted, because before I would have started blaming, oh no, what do we do here? What happens? But I decided to make a decision that I know would be beneficial to everybody involved. And I said, okay, look, I'm going to put the business on hold for now, focus on my kids. And this is what I'm doing. I'm also decided to be a full-time stay-at-home mom, because this is what is required right now. So, I chose to be fully present for my child, and not because my business is not important. It's very important, but I feel there needs to be like a synergy between what really matters and what needs to be done. So, leadership and knowing what you need to do, there's hard decisions that need to be made. So these hard decisions become more pronounced because of motherhood penalties. So this is what we call motherhood penalties. It's not theory, it's reality. You step away from income generating activities, you make decisions under emotional pressure, and you adjust without preparation. You carry invisible weight, and the world does not see it. The world, there's something called empathy. Quite a few people don't have empathy unless they've been in your situation before. So this is something that we've had to just deal with. And as luck may have it, because I homeschooled my kids for a year, I've been having a lot of opportunities, and I'm opening a book club, which will only be on weekends, so that I can concentrate on what the needs of my children are. So this life has a way of rewarding decisions. Life has a way of making you know that you're on the right path. And this is because the Lord is real and the Lord is there, and God loves us all. So, motherhood penalties are the hidden costs of being both a nurturer and a builder. So, we're going to talk about the turning point where strength is built. But here is where the story changes, right? Motherhood penalties don't have to destroy your progress. They can help you pivot. They can help you turn your story around. They can help you know and understand what it is that you are doing. So, in speaking about that, there's also a legacy being built, because my biggest supporter, my mom and I, have decided to revive the Chitenge business of SPM, and it's going really well. And I'm in Chitenge, as you can see. We've been very purposeful with the image of what that is, because for a long time she's always said your image portrays how people see you. It's dressing well is a sign of self-respect and respect for others as well. So we said, okay, since the textile industry in Zambia is booming, this is something that we need to take more seriously and get into it fully. And this is what we've done under the SPM brand. It's called SPM Ethnics. So please come through and support. Come and get your Chitenge outfits. If you need a Chitenge dress for your events, please come through. So I'm going to just now speak about the lessons for mompreneurs, right? Number one, flexibility is power. You must learn to pivot without guilt. Balance is not about doing everything at once. Balance is choosing correctly in the moment. You must always choose correctly in the moment. And, as moms, you need to be able to understand that something that's to do with your children is utmost. There is no negotiating there. And because I've got 3 young kids, you can understand how juggling that really is like. And then number 2 is systems sustain you. I had someone step into my stand, because this was structure and preparation. So they stepped into the stand, and this is not about luck. It's about having systems in place that can your business run without you being present? And if your answer is no, there's certain systems that you can go through And DigiBusiness can help you actually put those systems in place that your business can operate without you having to be present in there. If your business can't run for even a day without you, you do not have a business. You are self-employed, and it's a dependency. So you need to be able to run and structure your business in such a way that it's able to operate without you being there. Number 3, family and social support is critical. Family and social support is critical. I informed, there's the process behind, actually, when I found out about my son, I informed in the group, which before is not something that I would do. I'm someone who used to suffer in silence, suffer in silence and deal with it myself. But because of the mindset change process, I've said, okay, it's important to let other people in as well. And when you have other people come in, then this becomes your structure, this becomes your support system. So I wrote in my family group, I said, my son has been found that he can't see really. And then my older brother found the doctor, and we went to see the doctor, and he informed the doctor that would be coming. And my mother encouraged me and was there with the support. And then my father came to support me physically. And this is where the social and cultural spoke of the Wheel of Life comes in action. You can't build alone. You can't take decisions on your own. So this is something that, has been there and has been really, really the support system. Your support system can be there. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Your support system can be there, but you need to allow them in there. Can I repeat that? Your support system can be there, right? But you have to allow them to support you. You have to allow them to be there for you. So this is something that I've become very deliberate with, just having people and inviting people to support. And then presence over protection. In that moment, my child needed me more than my business did. And this is not failure. This is leadership in motherhood. This is taking tough decisions and saying, look, I'm going to go there and I'm going to make sure that my child is okay. Once my child is okay, then I can go back and just sit down and make a decision of how the best course of action is going to be. So this is what we did. We went there, we got his glasses, and it's so amazing how he immediately got into the class and he was like, oh, I can see that. I couldn't see that before. That's book. So I said, oh, wow, at least we found a permanent solution towards an ailment that he had, because he was really struggling in class. And because he's got, what do they call it, photographic memory, he was able to coast and still get his 90s and 100% because of his photographic memory. But otherwise, it will even be onwards and upwards from here. So resilience is built daily. Strength is not built in easy moments. It is built when you are stretched and still show up. You need to consistently show up. You need to be able to say, okay, what do I need to do in this present moment? You need to be able to self-introspect and be able to say, okay, am I making an emotional decision, or am I making a decision that will be beneficial in the long run? So we're going to speak about next is number 6 is compliance and preparedness is non-negotiable. Let me bring something in that is very critical. If something had gone worse, would I be financially prepared? Would I be protected? As mompreneurs, we must be compliant, have insurance, build systems that protect our families and businesses. And because life doesn't warn you, things come up. And luckily, we have medical insurance. So we have both NEMA and One Life that was there, and it was able to cover all our bills fully. We didn't have to remove any cash from the pocket. Because these are systems that are already in place, which have been put in place to support us in terms of emergencies. So you need to be able to have insurance. You need to be able to understand the importance of having these things. You may see it as a burden, but at a certain point, it really does help us. So, what about the mindset shift, right? I need to understand that when I chose to leave my table, at that point, I did not fail my business that day. I honored my responsibility. And this is a shift that I want you to take. You are not behind, you are building with depth. You are not weak, you are responding to reality. You are not disorganized, you are navigating complexity and doing it with grace. So it's very important to understand that you are a human too. You are a mom, yes, but you are a human too. You need to understand that when life calls, you need to answer. And then integration of the will of life, right? So this experience touched every area of my life. So we're going to go through the areas. Family and home. My child needed me, and at that point I had to respond immediately. I had to say, okay, if he's struggling to see, this is something that is very important. So I had to go there, and I had to, make sure that everything was there for me to be able to take my child to the hospital. When I took him to the hospital, then we were able to be seen, and he was able to be diagnosed with severe myopia. Mental and emotional. I had to stay strong. In that moment, I had to know that this decision that I'm taking is for the best interest of not only my child, but myself, my business, and everybody around me, and also to his long-term health. Because eyes are very sensitive, and you need to make sure that someone is able to see. So financial and career. The business still had to continue, and because of the systems and structures that we have in place, it was able to continue. Physical and health, the urgency and the movement that had to be there, where you have to say, okay, look, the health of my son is very important, and we need to go there and make sure that what we are doing is correct. Spiritual and ethical, choosing what is right. At that time, I could have said, oh, yeah, no, he can stay at school. He can stay at school and we can see him tomorrow morning. But I would not be sincere to myself, because I knew I wouldn't be present. Even if I was at the table there, I wouldn't be present for the clients that need to be seen by me. I wouldn't be present for those that are looking for the service, because my mind would have been, oh, okay, how is my son? How is my son? How is my son? So I said, okay, look, I need to go there, pick up my son, and then after I find out what is wrong, then I'll be able to breathe easier, and I'll be able to understand where I am in terms of the needs that my son has. And then social and cultural, family support system activated. Like I said, family needs to be there for you. Family is there for you, and then you also have to let them be there for you. There's a lot of people that say, oh no, my family is not supportive. But then have you done an introspection into why they are not supportive? Maybe you've built a wall and they can't pass that wall, right? You need to be able to let them in. You need to be able to say, this is what I'm dealing with. How can I best navigate this? Because the past Sampa would have probably not told anybody what is happening, gone to the school, gone and waited for 10 hours at the eye hospital, and then come and said, oh, okay, this is what I did. I took my son to the hospital, and this is what they've said. But who I am now is I'm slower to take decisions, and I said, and the decisions need to be such that they for the best interest of everybody involved. So I said, okay, look, I need to go to, my son is having this problem. Immediately I found out, I was able to say on the family group, this is what we are dealing with. And then once I said on the family group, then the family was supportive. My brother immediately got a contact of who we could speak to. And then we quickly went there, quickly picked up my son, took him to the hospital. And from there, my dad was able to come and pick us up from the hospital. So these are things that happen in real life. And our responses are very important. Our responses, our ability to communicate with those around us is also very important. So I want to hear from you, right? Have you ever faced a moment where motherhood and business collided? What decisions did you make? and what did it teach you? We need to be able to learn from each other. It's very important to understand that, when I'm primarily a stay-at-home mom, and this is why even working at Sanlam fits into what I do. Why? Is because you can be there speaking to customers and engaging customers, such that you don't necessarily have to be in the office every day. You can close business and send them the business that you've closed. So I'm very deliberate, and this doesn't take away from mothers who work full time. I applaud you, but for me, I have decided to say my kids need me, and because I saw how my mom decided to take care of us and chose to get into business, this is the decision that I've consciously made to say I need to be present for my kids. So this is something which I applaud moms that are excelling in their careers, and also I applaud moms that are choosing to give 100% to their kids and then have business be something that supplements that. So we are all doing what's best for ourselves. So strategy is very important. You need to understand and be true to you. As we go through these life moments, let us be intentional. We need to build systems. We need to stay compliant. We need to protect our futures. And by protecting your future, there's a product that Sanlam has, it's a lifesaver product. So what happens with it is that you're able to best protect your business, you're able to protect yourself, so that if something happens to you as the business owner, your business doesn't die. Your business continues to thrive. You could actually even say, okay, look, let's put either all directors on the lifesaver program, or we choose one director as the key person, and then we pay the lifesaver for that particular one person. So it's very important when you're running a business, to be able to understand what is needed there to protect not only yourselves but your business as well from having business failures. So you need to show up fully where you are needed, and yes, still look the part. You shouldn't look like your problems. You need to be clean. You need to, look good. So you need to constantly navigate what you need to do for you to be the best version of yourself. And because confidence is also part of productivity, through SBM Ethnics, we celebrate family identity, family twinning wear, chitenge wrap skirts, intentional presentation at women in business. I actually underwent the Stanbic Financial Literacy Program. And then when they were giving us our certificates, they were like, oh, wow, the best dressed person is this one. And then they said the best timekeeper is this one. So I said, oh, okay. I was dressing to advertise SPM Ethnics, and I'm glad that it resonated with the people that were there watching, and I got the prize of best dressed. So thank you so much for everything. And, because business is challenging, motherhood is challenging, you need to carry yourself with dignity, you need to have identity, you need to have purpose. So, mompreneurs, life stretches us, but when we are prepared, when we are supported and grounded, nothing breaks us. It builds us. We are people that are able to navigate life's challenges. We are people who are able to build systems. When you build a system, and systems are there to support us when life happens. Systems are there to support us when challenges, or when even the good times happen. So right now I'm able to do the morning call. Why? Because my daughter is with my mom, her grandma, and this is something which I always have to just be thankful for, the support system that I have. And then in terms of staying compliant, it's important to make sure that you are compliant. And with the ZRA voluntary disclosures, this gives us SMEs an opportunity to stay compliant and be able to go there and discuss what it is that we need to get done. Protecting our futures, I spoke about the Sanlam Lifesaver and being deliberate with the need that you have to make sure that you are covered in terms of the business owner and continuity of your business. And then showing up fully where you are needed. You need to understand where your P1 is. You need to understand where you are. And then, yes, looking the part. This is me in Chitenge, SBM Ethnics. And confidence is part of productivity. When you are confident, you can be productive. And when you're confident, you can be sure that the decisions that you're making are very good. And leadership is influence, right? Leadership is something that and influence doesn't just come in. Influence doesn't just come in by you saying, "Oh, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do." Just yesterday, Dr. Sylvia was speaking about monkey see, monkey do. And this is very true, especially in kids, even in offices. When you are present and then you are acting opposite of what you are saying, then people will start doing what you are saying as opposed to doing what you are doing. And then when you're deliberate with being positive in your actions, being positive in the way you respond, being positive in what you do, then life aligns in that way as well. And then they start saying, okay, let me do this, let me try this, let me be present in this way. So it's very important to make sure that your actions are very much aligned with how you want your life to go. Because remember, manifestation is a presence of how you are leading your life and how you are working towards growing and working towards, and change is not something that happens overnight. And this is why it's called the mindset change process, because you continue processing every day. And it doesn't mean that just because you're taking that particular decision right there and then, you falling down happens, right? But that's why they call it in church backsliding. It happens. And even when you're taking decisions in real life, your response to certain decisions, it happens. You can't always blame yourself to say, oh, okay, I could have responded better in this decision, or to this, what has happened. But you need to be able to say, okay, I could have said this differently, or I could have done this differently. And this then would have resulted into this. And when you're disappointed, it's easy to lose your emotional temper. When you are disappointed, it's easy to lose your temper, or it's easy to respond in a way that might not necessarily be great. So as mompreneurs, it's important for you to be prepared, supported, grounded, and know that you are there to be built. You are there to support others and to support yourself and to grow and to stretch yourself. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that has listened to this call. This call has been very real and very intentional to share my life's process and to say that this is what we need to do. So should you want to access any of the services that I've spoken about, or should you are you looking for activities that you can do with your child, give us a call. We are there. If you need outfits for your children, we are there. So thank you so much and have a blessed day.